Be in that
So
segue.
Cody came out and delivered another fantastic promo. This time he was talking about the story of the scorpion and the frog. So I said that I felt like it was kind of just like a silly story despite the obvious analogy, but I feel like even though it may not have hit like as hard as he was hoping it would, like in the moment, I feel like it was a memorable.
It was very old school. It was a
Yes.
very old school promo, and you could, as soon as he said Scorpion the Frog, I
Yeah.
pictured Dusty saying it in my head, like, you got Scorpion the Frog, baby. And
You
you're
know
the frog and try to get across the river.
what's really
I gotta work
crazy
on
to
my
me
Dusty,
is
but
when you see these glimpses of what feels very old school with him that might remind you of Dusty. What I think about that's the craziest part is that Dusty wasn't super involved with how Cody trained and developed and learned in wrestling, but he has so many just like natural traits of his dad that it's kind of like eerie in a way, because you would have thought that he was one of Dusty's kids in NXT. You know what I mean? Like that he was trained and worked very closely with his dad to develop into who he is today. And it's like, no, I think, you know what part of it is? I think what we talked about is, I think for most of his career, maybe even up until not long after Dusty passed away, he was trying so hard to avoid doing anything that could be considered being like Dusty. He was trying so hard to not be Dusty's kid or like a failed second generation superstar, because I mean, like, let's look at like Curtis Axel. Like, it never worked. They even tried to have him be a similar Mr. Perfect, and it just didn't work. It
Paul
just,
Heyman was his advocate.
I know, but and he still couldn't get over. So that's what I
That's
mean.
incredible.
It's like, you know, sometimes you need to embrace it, and I feel like in this way, the way that Cody goes about it is perfect because it's not in your face obvious. This is very much derived from my dad. It's more of like the subtle things, the things that like you wouldn't really notice unless you're one, in tune historically with wrestling, or two, you kind of pay attention to like the little things that maybe people who just watch wrestling at a surface level would notice, if that makes any sense. So anyway, I thought it was great. It's definitely a memorable moment, and hence why I even titled it Cody Rhodes talks about a scorpion and a frog. um but I am looking forward to Brock being there next week, because again, this is another feud that has been very much like, oh, they're together here, and then for the next 2 weeks they're feuding with the camera, and then they're back. So now that we will see the build up even more to Night of Champions next week, I'm very excited to see their match, and I'm very curious to see how that one ends, because I don't know that I was expecting Brock to lose at Backlash.
I was definitely not expecting Brock to lose, especially in the manner that he did. So
Yeah. So it just
I'm
makes me wonder how's the finish going to be this time? Who's going to
it's gonna be
win? We
incredible.
know that Cody should win, but
Cody should, for sure.
it's just difficult to imagine Brock losing 2 in a row to the same person,
He
and
doesn't
it's
do
not even
that.
for a title, you
He
know?
doesn't do that. Brock Lesnar doesn't do that. But maybe under Triple H he does it.
I know, and that's why I don't know. We will have to see, I guess.